Good morning.
He was a good kid. As a matter of fact, he was a good baby. That's why I ended up not having another one, because I'm like, I'd probably have another one and it'd be the Antichrist and I'd have to be up all night. But he slept through the night. He was like good to go. And so, yeah, he's a good kid. He's pretty much had a basketball in his hand since he was about 2 years old. We had all those little basketball goals. He had a basketball goal in his room, on the wall. I mean, everywhere we've been, he's always had a basketball.
When I started out, I played, I think I played shooting guard and small forward. Then I grew like 8 inches in the middle of 7th and 8th grade, so they moved me up to power forward and center.
Come a long way. I mean, his 9th grade year, sometimes in the post, he could barely catch the ball. I remember a time we were playing a game, I forget what school it was, but we playing a game and Cam's in the post and they pass the ball, they make a sharp pass into the post and Cam has his hands up, ready for the ball, and the ball just, goes through his hands and hit him directly in the forehead, and the team get the ball and they're off to the races, and I'm like, wow, man, one day he's gonna be able to make that adjustment.
He thought I had more potential than I thought, and that eventually motivated me.
Sure. When he got to the point where he started like really dunking, and I think that's what kind of sent a whole bunch of people over the edge. They would just literally come to the game just to see if he was gonna dunk the ball. He usually started out like once a game, and then he got to the point where it was like twice a game. Then it was like 3 times, and then he just, every time he got the ball.
Averaging 18 points, a little under 10 rebounds, and about 3 blocks. Half were dunks. So I got about 3 or 4 dunks a game, pretty much.
He's a beast around the basket, and I mean he's a good shot blocker. He's a presence in that lane.
Got some letters from Miami, Georgia Southern, North Florida, St. Leo, Northern Kentucky, Boston University, Towson University, it was a school in Virginia, Liberty, yeah. And that's all I can remember right now. It was a few more. I was always fishing when I wasn't playing basketball, so I kind of like things to deal with fish and water and all the underwater species, stuff like that. So.
And as he was coming in, a lot of times we would have to drag Cam off the boat because he loved fishing. He's a fisherman. He loves to fish. And he would always be like, well, Coach, I really don't, want to play this week. I want to go fishing this week.
You go like every day, twice a day.
Like once in the morning and
once in the afternoon, yep. But now, I have a lot more things to do.
And 15,000 people scream. They were all begging for your dream. I'm falling now.
As soon as I got to the top of the peak of my knee, it gave out and like popped. And yeah. I wanted to go somewhere up north because I've been in Florida long enough. I wanted to get out and explore to a different climate. But I don't know now.
My initial reaction was like, it's his ACL. Tell me it's not his ACL. I was constantly, saying it to myself. And at that time, I think we were up by, I know double digits, and I was just trying to let him get his average and, wanting him to get more playing time to, just feed off the crowd and, get everybody excited. But, when that happened, man, my first reaction was like, dang, there goes ACL. And I was hoping that that wasn't the case, but the doctor was like, hey, just keep your fingers crossed and be patient, and we'll give you the results in a couple of days. But my initial reaction was like, man, I think he may be out for the season, and that came.
A doctor called me, and we were at Crystal, and evidently Rick had already got the news because he was coming across the parking lot. I'm on the phone. The boys and the rest of the team were inside the restaurant, and I just started bawling. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know, because this is right before Christmas. I'm like, I don't know how we're gonna tell them.
I got up and limped off the court, so it wasn't too bad. But I heard the news, I was like, oh God. Yeah. I don't know. I had a lot more interest before I messed up my knee, and I don't know if they're still interested or not. I haven't heard from them since like August. They said they were like talking about coming to see me play, and most of them never did.
First, they were like, well, he can play, he can finish out the season, he's just gonna have to wear a brace. And I just, knowing the competition that we had and some of the people, I could see some of those other guys purposely trying to hurt him, and I just couldn't risk that. So we had a long talk about that, because I think he was originally gonna try to play with the brace. And then I said, the more I think about this, I think you need to go ahead and have the surgery, because then you can start the recuperation process. And so, yeah, that was a tough one. It was real tough.
I mean, I knew I was a strong part of the team, and I carried them for a long time, and I was a big help. So I felt like I let the team down, coaches down, fans down, parents down, and myself.
We would have had Cam. We think as a team that we probably would have had a better run.
Doing well with his therapy. He's really far advanced as far as like muscle strength and flexibility and stuff like that. So for him, it's mainly slowing him down and not letting him get ahead of his rehab plan. Great if he thinks he can go dunk a basketball and go play basketball, like that's great, but like biologically his knee isn't healing that fast, so if we let him get too far ahead, then he could damage the ACL that repaired in his knee. So mainly right now is just not letting him get ahead of himself and making sure that he stays on track with the rehab protocols and stuff like that. But he's definitely doing well. We're the highest jumper in the city. Would you like to be the highest jumper in the city again?
Exactly.
Would you like to be the highest
I never
jumper?
had a butt.
Okay, but now you have a bum knee.
You
So
said
where's that power going to come from now? It's not coming from your knee.
I never used it.
You never used this knee before?
No.
All right, come on, open up. Go ahead, start. And the high school athletes are, I feel like just because of their age, their maturity level, it's going to be different than the athletes we have at FSU, you know. I feel like most of the time the older athletes want to like do their rehab and do it right, get it done so they can get back and play again, which most athletes do want to do, but like for the college kids, it's more so like their career that's like on the line and, you know, professional sports like in the future. For high school students, you know, they don't really have that as close. They can't really see that as soon. But yeah, Cam is kind of difficult sometimes. It's trying to get him motivated, trying to bribe him into doing things and coming back. Sometimes he just doesn't come, but yeah. You're over, you're over, you're over. Look at that. You're over. Ah, you cheated. Yeah, definitely. There's plenty of people who tear their ACLs and come back just the same, if not better. You know, his likelihood of having another ACL surgery is probably still high, so there's a lot of like ACL preventative programs and stuff that, you know, those athletes too. But I mean, it's a common surgery to have and stuff, and it's not going to hinder him in the future as long as he does his rehab right and he gets back to the way he used to be.
I know originally he was real down about it. I think now, because he's seeing the difference in how the rehab's coming along, plus the doctor said he's a lot more advanced than he thought he was going to be, I think that's kind of, I think he's refocusing now. What we're doing at this point with his injury, I'm trying to see kind of if they'll let him walk on first, and then that way he can build his strength back up. So yeah, redshirt the first year, and then kind of go from there, because that'll give him enough time to get back acclimated.
I consider redshirting. I mean, it's not a bad thing. At least I get to practice with the team and stuff like that. But first year I probably need it because of my knee.
You know, he's getting himself better so that he can potentially come back and have a good 4 years.
Hush now, child, and don't cry. Your folks might understand you by and by. Just move on up toward your destination. Though you may find from time to time complications. Bite your lip and take